And then I want to share with you an experience that I had on October 22nd, 1993. And the occasion was I was in Cairo, Illinois, and that community had called together a town meeting because of the concern for the increased level of violence and crime, especially related to young people. And so they're gathered in a gymnasium at the local community college with some 2,200 people. And a dialogue emerged with young people talking to old and old people to young, and the haves with the have-nots and the enfranchised with the disenfranchised. You get the picture. Until a young boy, whom I later came to know was 13, raised his hand and asked for the microphone. And he came to the microphone and said to us, are there people here who believe that children are the future? He said, if you believe children are the future, raise your hand. Well, I raised my hand, as did many others throughout that audience. And then this young boy looked back at us and said, well, you're wrong. He said, because at the rate that we're dying, at the rate at which we are becoming addicted to drugs, at the rate to which we are going to prison, there isn't going to be a future. And he went on to say, and I ain't even going to think about it. Now think of the notion of no future. You see, if there's no future, then there are no rules. Doesn't matter what your cholesterol level is. For some, it doesn't matter whether you drop out of school or turn to drugs or go to prison for that matter. And so in part as a result, there are in our country over 1 million school-age children not enrolled in school any place, just walking the street on the way literally to no place. Too many young American children have no concept of a vision of a future in which they prosper and in which good things happen for them. And these are really the issues that confront us and the struggles that we must, if we are going to reduce the number of people who go to prison. These are the challenges that we must face. We must have a society that is healthy and wholesome enough that all of the children, not just some of the children, but all of the children, have a sense of a future in which good things happen in their lives. But too many young people in our country simply believe it's not going to be all right.
Welcome to CAPtions. I'm Agbara Bryson, Senior Vocational Counselor for the Private Industry Council. We have in our studio several young people who have agreed to share with us their visions and some of the hurdles and obstacles they have to overcome. With an increasing sense of hopelessness coupled with an increase in violence, especially among our young people, tonight's show will focus on what they see and what they don't see as a vision for their future. But just as important, we want to hear your comments and thoughts. Our number is 686-2636. Give us your first name and your comment or question, and we will read it here, live on the air. Now let's introduce our guests. I'll start here.
Hello. My name is Camille Thomas. I work for the Bill Peoria program.
Okay.
Well, my name is Justin Williams.
Okay.
My name is Willow Taylor. I work for Sharon Willow Healthcare.
Okay.
My name is Eugene Dye. I also work for Sharon Willow Healthcare.
Okay, glad to have you here tonight. I want to start off by asking the question, what do you think the vision is for folks your age? Now I'll go ahead and start with you, Camille. Now you have to give us your age.
My age is 25.
Okay.
And, no, excuse me, it's 26.
Okay.
I just had a birthday. The vision for people in my age are the same as probably our forefathers was. You know, it's like we're trying to raise our families and big success throughout, you know, our family, show our children the way, that type of thing.
Okay. So I'm hearing you say that for most 26-year-olds, and individuals are trying to be successful with raising their families.
Raising their families, getting a stable job, you know, buying homes,
Okay.
that type of thing.
Okay. Justin, how old are you?
13.
13. Okay. What do you think the vision is for 13-year-olds? Now, you attend what school?
Sterling Middle School.
Sterling Middle School. Okay. What do you think the average 13-year-old's vision is?
Probably to get a good education and go up and get a good job.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Taylor, how old are you?
I'm 21, Mr. Bryson.
21 years old. Okay.
21.
What do you think the vision is for individuals that are 21 years old?
Well, probably the short-term vision would probably be a financial status, you know, of a young person, and so they're going out looking for jobs. You know, if they come out of high school, you know, some might be looking on a way to go to college and maybe think short-term, so to get a job, you know, and work until they can get back in school. That's for short, you know, right now.
And long term?
Well, as far as long term, I can speak from my own perspective. I plan on going into entrepreneurship in my long-term goal, but right now, you know, I'm working and I'm trying to get back in school, and I'm trying to get all my resources together so that I can do such things.
So I'm hearing you say then, based upon your point of view, most 21-year-olds are trying to look for work or obtain employment.
A certain percentage.
Okay, okay. About you, Eugene?
Well, Mr. Bryson, I agree with what she said. As I look at this, there's two sides of this. First off, there's my general perspective, and secondly, there's my own personal perspective. Now, as I look at people my age, which I am 20 years old, I feel, from my personal opinion, that we vision the same as those in the past. Mr. Bryson, it's just the way we go about trying to achieve a vision. That's simply a goal.
Is there a difference now in the way that you feel that young folks go about trying to achieve the goals?
Yes, I would say there's a big difference. The young people today, they do things faster to try to achieve their vision. Say, for instance, I might want to get a new car. I'm young. I might want to get a new car, and I take out time. I mean, I don't take out time to wait to get this car. So I might want to go a different route to get it and to do it in a fast way.
Let me ask you, how many of you saw Poetic Justice?
I did.
Okay.
I saw it.
I know that there was a segment there whereas I forgot the character, I think, who was it, Tupac and the other guy, but they had what most would consider a good job at the post office, but yet, based upon a lot of young folks in there, that these individuals kind of square for working, but most would consider a good job. Do you think that that's typical for most young folks? When is it better off? Do most young folks view a 9-to-5 job as something good, or do they consider that something square and you can make more money not working? How do you feel about that?
Based on the economy and the way things are going, as I can say in Illinois, it's like there's jobs out here, but either if you get a college degree or, you know, a high school diploma, you still might not get a good job, considering there are changes in the workforce as far as insurance things. It's a lot of things to tie into it. So basically, what everybody is trying to do is make some type of money to survive on.
Jesse, you have any comment? Did you see Poetic Justice by any chance?
No.
Okay. Willie, did you see Poetic Justice?
I saw the movie.
Do you understand what I'm talking about? Where
Well,
they were kind of considered somewhere for working at 9 to 5.
Well, from my own viewpoint, I would think that driving a mail truck would be pretty easy. Now, in an outlook of how things are going now, I don't think that a lot of young people would probably, might go for that 9 to 5 job. As far as the time extension of it, you work say 40 hours a week, and you bring home a good earned paycheck versus making your whole paycheck in one day. I think it's more of an instant thing. They want to win instantly. Everything is based on now. Why should I go and spend 8 hours a day driving a truck when I can make the same amount of money, in another way, even faster, So that's something to bring into consideration as well. And like she said, that there are jobs out and available, but if you don't even have at the least a high school diploma, how can you obtain a job?
Eugene, what are your feelings about that? Did you see Poetic Justice?
Yes, I did, Mr. Bryson. I wouldn't consider the movie that I saw, Poetic Justice, wasn't a reality.
Was not a reality?
Was not a reality that young people of today will look at it as being. I would say, like Mr. Taylor said, we look forward to making probably more money. We're out here to survive. A lot of young people is out here to survive on a everyday basis, and that's all.
But I thought I heard Mr. Taylor say that most people who are 20 years old are looking for work.
Well, like I said, a certain percentage, Mr. Agbara. It all goes back to self. The person that's being involved. You see, I myself might have a different vision than the overall public. I could probably humble myself to go and accept that job and be patient enough to stick with it till something else comes along or my career goals change. But on the other hand, we're dealing with a bigger population than just me.
Let me ask you this question. So, in terms of most 20-year-olds, if you could speak for them, do you think that their vision then is to get a 9 to 5, or is it to do other things that they can make more money, such as illegal activities? Is that what I'm hearing you say? Or?
Okay, what I'm saying is some of the people that I associate with, most of them have jobs. They're not at the time considered career jobs, but it works out for the moment. It's better. It is considered, okay than going out and risking your life on doing something else, something that might be negative. So I would say that from my perspective that we'll go ahead and take, something to occupy time with than to be abstracted by something else.
Eugene, when you're saying that part wasn't based in reality, what wasn't based in reality? In the sense that young folks are able to get those kind of jobs, or in the sense that young folks want to work those type of jobs?
What I'm saying, Mr. Bryson, young folks do have that opportunity to get that job. Now, like I said, that opportunity is wide open, but you have the majority. You have a lot of young people that rather not take that road. They rather not go and get a 9 to 5 job. They rather make more money at a faster rate. That's what I'm saying.
But how would they do this?
How would the majority, again, basically black young men, they feel that they should go into the drug trade and and sell drugs and things like that, and that's how they get it. That's one of the the common ways that young men get into something.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel that these visions are similar or different than your parents and grandparents?
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I take that first? I think that in a way they're very similar, and then in many ways they're very different. Now let me go into definition as to what I mean by that. First of all, our parents always taught us to have better things than they had, to have a better job even than they had, and also the fact of making more money so that you'll be to an extent that's considered financially fit. Okay, now the way that some young people are going about getting it might be a little bit different than what our parents had expected it. Okay, we was always taught to have nice cars, have nice houses, dress nice and things like this. And so when I bring you back into young people today, they say, well, if I take this way, take the driving the mail truck or whatever, it might take me a little bit longer. Some take that route. On the other hand, some young people don't. And so
let me ask you a question. But did your parents teach you that you need to work for these things?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. To a young person, some might consider what they're doing as if it's the drug trade, they might consider that work. You understand? Now, when I say our parents fits into society, right? We become society. We are society as a whole. Now, society even says that you can win instantly. You have casinos, you have the lottery. Even that tells you to go after the instant cash. There's more involved if it's instant. Like you could hit the lottery one time and win millions, as versus working 40 hours a week, and earning an honest day's living or whatever. So you have to think about that, and that's the ways that it's different. Instead of working long and hard for what we want, some young people have took the instant route of getting things.
Mr. Bryson, I would say I totally agree with Mr. Taylor right here. To the people that grew up in the past, I would say that we
parents and grandparents.
Parents and grandparents. I would say that the people of today still have that vision, and like I mentioned previously, it's the way we go about obtaining that vision. Now, when my mother and my grandparents were little, they were taught in the home. They were taught to struggle for success, to do something for themselves. They were taught by their mother and father, by their parents, responsibility, and from that they learned how to create a vision. So as they grew up, they had a vision set for them in the future.
You want to comment on that, Camille? In the sense that, do you think your visions are similar or different than your parents or grandparents, and how they're different? Or similar?
Like Mr. Taylor and Mr. Dye said, my parents also taught me to grow up and have things better than they had, as far and so forth as my children and so forth. And it's a lot different because of the way the society is nowadays, but it's a lot the same because we're still trying to achieve the same goals that they did.
Now, when your parents, how did you interpret when your parents were trying to say to you to have more and better things? Were you interpreting that in terms of materialistic, to get more and better, but what about...
It's education, as well as, it's education, family values, so on.
What were some of the family values that they shared with you?
My mom always taught me, well, the way I bring my children up is, my children always come before me. You know, I don't go out and spend my money just on me, and my children go out looking any type of way. My children come before me. You know, I believe in a strong, stable home. You know, raising kids up in church and that type of thing, getting a good education. When my children go to school and they have problems at school, I go talk to their teachers. I be there at open house and everything else.
Okay. Mr. Dye, you want to make a comment?
Yes, I would. Mr. Bryson, when my mother taught me, she taught me first of all to go after education and then to grow up and to have something for yourself. It wasn't like today. You have young people, they vision more to have materialistic things than more to strive for an education. So basically, you know, that's what my mother taught me.
Agbara, when I was coming up, my mother always, she was like expressing, you know, education is important. And when she said, I want you to have nice things, I think that those is what she meant. That's what her intention was. Now, other young people have mothers. I don't know if their mother was teaching them the same thing, but maybe they picked up the wrong message. Okay, think of it from this view: America as one big mother, and you got all the children in the world, you know, and surrounded within this mother, and this mother is nurturing them, and she's saying, I want you to have all the nice things. You know, the first thing that comes to your mind as a young person is probably a materialistic view. You know, as far as cars and stuff like that, and so that's what you go after, and you have certain negative mechanisms that's out there that'll help you get those, but there's also consequences of getting them as well.
If you had kids, what would you tell them? I mean, do you think that your values would be greatly different or similar to your parents and grandparents? I mean, in terms of how to get things and what to get and how to go about obtaining them?
Yeah, I think I would probably, if I had children, I would probably be what's considered real strict, but strict is considered a real old word in modern terms. I would probably have to tell them the truth about things. Look, this is a material, you know, based on world, and there's going to be certain obstacles out there that's going to try to bring you in, to get you in the swing of this world. But this is what you have to understand. You know, if you have the knowledge, which is education, you know, about those things, you would better understand, and you won't have that thirst or that hunger for it. You would understand, and those things would naturally come to you.
Let me ask you a question. When you're saying strict, what kind of things are you meaning? How would you define strict?
I mean order. When I say strict, I mean in terms of order. You know, having yourself in line, your priorities, knowing what comes first, values and things like that. Your family. You know, getting things in order. You know what I'm saying? Yourself. Getting yourself in order first. You know, if you understand yourself, then you have an understanding of a bigger picture. You know, because then you come into understanding other people and how other things work. You understand? So that's what I would probably teach them, how to understand self.
Justin, let me ask you, do you think that the visions in terms of 13-year-olds are different or similar than your parents or grandparents? Do you have any insight on that? I know you're the youngest of the group, but do you have any insight onto that?
Probably similar, because they would only want the good things for their grandchildren and children in life.
Okay. Another question. Compared to, and I'm going to address this to Mr. Dye, compared to your parents and grandparents, Mr. Dye, do you feel that there's more opportunities or less opportunities available to you?
Well, Mr. Bryson, I would say that there's more opportunities available for people my age now, but there's more or less people that will want to take advantage of them opportunities. Why? It's because...
Now state that again. Did you say, state that again? There are more...
there are less people that will want to take advantage of the opportunities that's out here.
Now, why is that, do you think?
Why is that? Why? Because you have the government that allow, and I'm speaking nothing but the truth. You have the government that allow his drugs to come into this country, his drugs to come into the communities of children, and this was used to blind children for this drive for success. Maybe they was drive for success at one time, but then drugs came into your communities, and you thought instantly money. You thought drugs blinded them to the fact that they could get money instantly, quicker and faster.
Okay.
So,
okay. What about you, Mr. Taylor? Do you think you have more opportunity or less opportunity than your parents and grandparents?
I know for a fact that we have more opportunities based on little stories that my mother used to tell me, places that they used to could not go. And so now we have...
Let me ask you a question. Are your grandparents alive, and how many grandparents are alive?
My grandmother.
Do you talk to them? Do they tell you those stories and things?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
They tell you all about what went on in the days, and they can talk on and on about it.
Word
My
for
grandmother
knowledge.
even today still talks about it, you know. Boy, y'all better go to school.
Same thing my grandfather tell me.
Right, exactly. And so we have the opportunities to an extent. A certain percentage of the people might not have the knowledge about how to go about using those resources and those opportunities. A certain percentage of the people might say they want to go another route. They don't want those opportunities, even though they're available. You understand? And as for another percentage of the young people my age, they want the opportunities, but they might not know about how to get them. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's like you want to be something in life, but you just don't know which paths to take to get there. And I think that they should probably set up structures to help shine the light on paths for young folks so that they can see clearly what it is they want.
Justin, okay, let me ask Justin a question, the same question. Do you think that there's more opportunities or less opportunities, Justin, for you versus your parents and grandparents?
I would say more. Because back then, it was like, if you were black, you would get killed. And not everybody, but certain people, if you walk down a certain street, you would get killed or something. I just have to say there was more.
Mr. Dye, you want to make a comment?
I agree with Mr. Taylor. I think we should set up structures for our young people. But first off, before we can set up structures, we should start with the home. We should teach young mothers in the home. We should set up a program with people that's able to teach younger mothers to learn how to teach their kids responsibility, so that they would be able to strive for the success that they should get in their future.
I would like to explain one more thing about the issue of opportunities. Even though it was some jobs that at a time that black folks could not obtain because of certain statuses that remained in society. Now that we have that opportunity to do that, in the 90s, some black people are saying that they don't want to. What they're saying now is that we want to create our own jobs for our own community. This is I don't know if this is a trend or if this is something that we really want, but they're now getting into entrepreneurship. They want to start their own business. They want to bring the community together. Unity is a main topic here. Now, I might disagree with some of the ways that they're going about it, because sometimes unity can mean a gain. You know, so you have to think about that. Even though we have the opportunity, we're not utilizing them. What promotes us to do that? And so we come up with the idea of.
I have to interrupt you because right now it's time for a short break,
Okay.
and we'll be right back with more after this.
I had something else.
Welcome back. I'm Agbara Bryson, and we're talking about visions for the future. Mr. Taylor, you were making a comment before we took our break about the opportunities and things.
Right, exactly. What I was saying was, even though those opportunities are there, and I wanted to ask the question, why aren't we as young black people aren't going after those opportunities? Why are we falling short to the obstacles around us? And in a bigger perspective, we are not the only children that's falling short to those obstacles, such as drugs. That's not a new issue. That's something that has been around for some time, and it has stayed around to an extent. You can almost say that it is a business, and people that how should I say it? People that survive off this business. It's a big business. It's bringing in a lot of money, you know, and it's
Did you read
considered
the recent
attractive.
article where they were talking about that business was bringing in about $18 million annually?
Right.
So it's
The local gangster disciples. Okay, then consider this: for the people that's supplying them with their share. So if they're making 18 million, then somebody's making 180 million from it. It's bigger than just Peoria. It's bigger than just some of the brothers that's on the street and selling drugs. Somebody has to supply them with that. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot of angles that we have to look at that issue from. It's bigger than just the gangster disciples.
Camille, compared to your parents and grandparents, do you feel that there's more or less opportunities available to you?
I think there's more opportunities for the simple fact there's more funding for education. There's funding for birth control, which our parents and grandparents did not have it or didn't have the opportunity. And there's different programs to help different people that people are not really aware about. And I think if, the programs that's out there helping the people should get out there and either make commercials or hand out flyers or something. And as far as family values and stuff, it should be in the home, as Mr. Dye said. But if it's not, it's our responsibility as the young generation to help people like Justin come up. Say a few words to them. If you can. A lot of little kids don't want to listen nowadays, but there are some listening in the group, and if you can say something to them, you should, and then you might be the person that turns them around from a life of crime or violence or what have you.
Well, Mr. Dye, I think you asked a good question, but I want to ask that question because I'm curious as to, Mr. Dye, you provide some insight, is that there seems to be a lot more opportunities, more available in the sense of that were available to your parents and particularly grandparents, but for some reason you identify drugs as a factor that many people are not utilizing opportunities. You mentioned one in the sense of perhaps not being aware. But I would like to ask our viewing audience to give us some other insight in the sense of what your feelings are of why young people aren't utilizing the opportunities available to them. But let me go on. There's a call-in. Individual call-in named Terry, and he supports the theory and beliefs of the program, has spoken with other community leaders about problems of the youth and would like to see more role models in our community. What are your feelings about more role models in our community, and what kind of role models would you like to see? Justin, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that there's enough role models out there, and are there any particular type of role models that you would like to see? Do you think there needs to be more, or what are your feelings about that?
I think it should be more better role models instead of like people like Snoop Doggy Dogg. I think should be
Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Better rappers or role models than him. And not really. I don't think there's enough role models.
Who is? Can you identify one of your role models?
I have to say my dad.
Okay, and that's sounds like an excellent role model. Mr. Dye, I see you over there dying to answer this question, so why don't you go ahead and give us your input.
Mr. Bryson, I think there is role models out there right now, but
do you think that there's enough role models?
I think,
or do you think the community?
there can never be a limit to the role models that we need in this time. But the role models that are out there now, such as church role models, or I would say pastors, or Islamic role models, that needs to be out there more often in the community to help try to give some of the young people in the community guidance.
What kind of things would the ministers or some of the other folks need to do to get in the community? What would be some suggestions?
My suggestion would be that maybe they should start going to young people's house, trying to get them outside, trying to get them to participate in activities to bring about unity within the community. Not only that, but to bring about order in the community also, and self-control. Now, they can also use a...
Should they go to door? Or, I mean, how should they do this? Because I know a lot of pastors and folks would say that they attempt to do that in the sense of recruiting.
I know it could be a very dangerous thing, or probably to the pastors scared for them because of the society that we're living in today. But you have to have God standing. You have to have that spiritual side standing behind you, standing within you, within your soul. You have to knock that fear out, and you have to be ready to go out in the community and to prepare yourself to help the young children that's my age, and to help them do something, to give them guidance, and to knock door to door. I would say you just have to knock the fear out your system, and pray to God, and pray to God, Allah or whoever so your God is, to have enough faith and strength and courage enough to go out there and give young people guidance.
I know a lot of people would agree with you, Mr. Bennett, and probably Dan Quayle would kind of, and many others would say that there's a spiritual breakdown in the sense of our community, in particular with individuals in your age group. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would most likely agree with that. There's a spiritual breakdown within people in my age. They're not, they don't focus on that spiritual life anymore. They focus more on the industrial world, the world of materialism.
Materialistic.
Right.
Let me ask you, what kind of role models would you like to see?
What kind of role models that I would like to see? Okay, the role models that I would like to see is people you have like the church role model, pastors, someone that's for a better cause, Islamic role model, or someone that...
so basically you would like more spiritual, religious type role models is what I'm hearing you say.
Not only that, but anyone that has that strength to give young people that guidance for a better cause.
Camille, what kind of role models would you like to see? First of all, do you think that there's enough, and do you think they need to be expanded? And if so, what kind of, any particular type of role models that you would like to see, not only for yourself, but let's say for your children?
Role models starts at home with the parents and with the family. You know, there's a lot of good role models out there, and it could be more, but I feel the role models should start at home.
Who are some of your role models?
My family, my grandmother, my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles. You know, family played a key role in my upbringing or whatever else. You know, I didn't have just Michael Jordan and none of that. I didn't have that. My family.
Okay. Hang on, Mr. Nye. Let me get to Mr. Taylor. Hang on to your thought. Ms. Taylor, in a sense of role models, do you think that there's enough? Would you think that they need to be expanded? And if so, are there any particular type of role models that you would like to see?
Well, first of all, Mr. Bryson, I would say that we have more than enough role models. It's just where we're going to look for them at. Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay. We used to look up at our uncles and fathers and things like that as role models. Now we're more in the trend of going out of that train of thinking, and now we're looking out and, you know, looking out for role models, and by various means is that exploited, you know, on television as far as radio is concerned, the music industry, you know, all of that stuff feeds on that need to have a role model. We like I said, we've gotten out of the trend of looking right around in our own community, you know, maybe a pastor at a church or something like that. Now,
yeah, you know, Charles Barkley said he's not a role model. Y'all know that, don't you?
Yeah. But I just think that sometimes we tend to look out for things when it's really right in front of us. You know, and if you embed that positive upbringing in them, then a child will look for something that has that similar goodness in it, and if it's right, then they'll pick what's right. You know, you just have to have faith in them. You know, pray for them and teach them how to pray for themselves as well, and how to guide themselves, to listen to themselves. And usually, if they listen to themselves will tell them what's right.
Do you think that most people your age pray for those type of things, or what are your feelings?
Well, brother, I don't know if I can get into what other brothers do or what other people do in general. I don't know if they pray or not.
Just based upon your snapshot
well,
of your society.
Just based on a snapshot. Prayer is, from a religious perspective, is very important. Now, if you have that breakdown in a religious structure, then I don't think you're going to have too much praying. You understand what I'm saying? But the old methods that we use to keep ourselves in order, I think that we need to grab a hold of them and not exactly go back to them, but understand them, the importance of them, so we can carry it on. And I think that prayer myself is very important.
So in terms of role models, specifically, what type of role models would you like to see?
Well,
for you and let's say for your children, what type of role models do you think would be important? What kind of characteristics would you like for them to have?
Okay, then from that question, I would have to go by weight. What effect has some of the well-known role models have on society? I would like to see a lot of positive role models come out of the media as far as television is concerned.
You mean like Charles Barkley?
Well, Charles Barkley. You know, the norm. I would like to see, and not focus as much as an importance on
Arthur Ashe.
Yeah, very good. Role models like such. And out the music industry, you got a lot of negativity and also positivity. But those industries have a great effect on society and our community and also our family. So I would like to see more good role models come out of those areas.
Or like Justin said, his role model was his father, perhaps more father.
I would say just more than we need that just one role model in our lives, if we can, to help us get to where we want to go. I would say that we need God, like I mentioned previously, and I agree with Justin. He said his father. We might need both of them to help us get somewhere in our lives. So.
I know for me personally, I had a couple role models. And Jim Watson, I hope you're listening, and Fred McAfee. If it wasn't for those individuals just keeping me occupied in the sense of, you know, you're here with this midnight basketball. I played a lot of sports, and if I hadn't been occupied, I have a very good idea of probably what my life would be like, and I wouldn't be here tonight talking to y'all, at least not from this side. So it's very important to have role models. Let me ask you, how were you able to obtain your vision, and what kind of obstacles have you faced? Can I start with you, Camille?
I obtained my vision after I started a family earlier.
But let me ask
my
you.
life.
Okay, so what kind of vision do you have, and what have been some of the obstacles that you faced with that?
The vision that I have is, like I say, is to get a stable job so I can live comfortably, and raise my children, and bring my family up to do the right things as well as raising their children, and so on and so forth. And the obstacles that I faced was I faced teenage pregnancy earlier in life, and I went on and I
so
finished.
many others. I don't know if you're aware of it, but that's a national trend. But I think Peoria's been identified as
Number one.
Number one. That's scary. At least it scares me.
But I mean, I feel like this: if you do have a baby, there's no reason, or if you do have children, there's no reason why that you cannot go back and continue your education and keep on going to make a life for your child or your children and you.
So in some cases, then that can be, if you take advantage of it, could be an opportunity you can take advantage of, or it could be, as you all mentioned, an opportunity that individuals don't see.
That's correct.
So, in a sense, then teenage pregnancy was a barrier for
it wasn't necessarily a barrier.
Obstacles.
It was like an obstacle at first, but after I had my son, I learned to grow up with him. And I continued to go to school and get jobs to take care of him. And send him to school at an early age. Just learn as he was learning.
Okay. What about you, Justin? What kind of vision do you have, and what kind of obstacles have you faced thus far, if any?
Well, none really.
In the sense of no obstacles and no vision?
No obstacles.
Oh, great. What's your secret? Just good living so far, huh?
Yeah.
What kind of vision do you have for yourself, Justin?
Probably just to get a good job and
Get
a good education.
Now, you shared with me you're looking for a particular type of job and particular type of education. You want to share with us what you're interested in?
Becoming an architect.
An architect. Interesting. And I just want to comment, for individuals that are young and old, to have a vision at that particular age is really, really good. You're on the right track, because a lot of individuals don't have any idea what they want to do. So you're really on the right track, and I hope that comes for you. And I hope you continue not to have any obstacles and come back to what your secret is. What about you, Mr. Taylor, in the sense of your vision? What is it, and what obstacles have you ran into, if any?
Well, first of all, I would like to talk about the skill that I have that keeps me in my vision. It was a skill that I learned real early in life when I was kind of young. I think I was around 14, the age of 14. I had the skill to get away from things, to get away from the world. My mother, we lived in Tennessee, and it was this little room in the back of the house. And I would go to that little room, and I would spend numerous amount of hours in that room just thinking to myself. And one day, I made something. I made a robot out of old toys and things that I had. And that just let me know the power that I had within myself.
Yes.
And I think that skill has helped me even today, just to get away from things, to get away from them, look at them from a view, and understand how they work. And just
in other words, you're kind of saying, like, taking time out to kind of visualize what you want to do and where you want to go.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. What about obstacles? Have you ran into any kind of obstacles in the sense of you accomplishing your vision?
Well, yeah, I would have to say that once you start to see and understand things, rather, then you have obstacles that has always been there. It just came to your recognition. You just come to recognize them. In high school, I had numerous of obstacles. I was working on several programs. They was type of programs that would unify people in a sense, and I came through different barriers, you know, racism, prejudice, jealousy, you know, all different types of things, you know, the things that has kept society back since the start of time. And just by understanding them, you know, it becomes no longer an obstacle, and you're able to maneuver around them, because if you're doing what's right, then it's going to prevail through anything. So
Mr. I understand that you're like a straight A student or A and B student.
yeah, in my senior year I was.
That's fantastic.
But during my freshman year, I didn't want to do it.
You didn't understand, and then your senior year you started to understand and excel. That's fantastic, man. That is fantastic. Wish I could have done that. Mr. Dye, what about you? What is your vision, and what kind of obstacles have you faced, and how have you overcome them?
First off, Mr. Bryson, let's start with my mother, who taught me very good when I was a young child. She taught me the basic things, and as I got older, I knew that I had to face things out in the world, such as drugs and peer pressures. And you know, every time I was to face something like that, something negative like that, I would go to myself, probably go for a walk, or I would go meditate. Now, what I mean by meditating, I mean to sit down in a quiet place and to be at peace with yourself, to allow yourself time to think about what you're going to get into, and that's just basically using common sense. You think before you do anything.
Well, and that is a skill. Some people, what they call compulsive behavior, don't think, they just do. But you're absolutely right. That's a skill.
Right.
We kind of need to wrap up. But let me ask another important question. What kind of advice can you give to other people so that they can develop a vision? And Mr. Dye, I'm going to go ahead and start with you.
Well,
what kind of advice could you give to individuals trying to develop a vision?
Okay, first off, there's something that comes before that solution. Before I get to that solution, I would like to say something. First off, you have to start with self. You have to start with yourself. You have to learn to get that control. You have to learn to realize. You have to learn to come to reality of what society we're living in. What condition am I in, and what I'm gonna do to strive to get better in my life. And once you have done that, then once you have God ordered within yourself, then you could come to that solution. Then you could vision whatever that is that you want to do.
Okay. Mr. Taylor, what kind of advice would you give for individuals so that they can help develop a vision?
Well, I would say to everybody in the world that's either watching this program or whatever, I would say, you know, brothers and sisters, look, just get away from all the worldly things, you know what I'm saying? Just get away from all the materialism just for a minute so that you can come to peace with yourself and understand what's happening. You understand what I'm saying? Understand what's happening. It says, it's written that, you know, if you go in if you walk in a righteous path and a knowledgeable path, then all the things of the world will be available to you. You know, you understand, through understanding. So that's what I would say. I would say get away from all this corruption or whatever, and get to know yourself better.
Justin, what kind of advice would you give to 13-year-olds, younger, and folks older in turn, in the sense of helping them to develop a vision?
Probably just sit down and talk with your parents about the news and stuff, and that's about it.
And that's very important. Communicate with your parents on what's going on, is what I'm hearing you say. And probably a lot of young folks don't communicate as good as they should with their parents, so their parents will know what's going on with them, and you know what's going on with your parents. Okay. Camille, what kind of advice would you give for individuals who are trying to develop a vision?
Like Mr. Dye said, I agree with what he said as far as starting with yourself first. And even if you have to take the little $4.35 minimum wage job to get you to where you want to go to your $20 an hour job, you have to start from the bottom first, and that's with yourself.
So what I'm hearing you say then is that you need to have some patience.
Right.
And you need to know yourself. Now, before I've heard you say, you stress the issue of education, how important education is. So perhaps education of self, education of the world around you, education of parents. So these are the type of things that you would give advice to in terms of individuals developing a vision for themselves.
That's correct.
Okay. It's our hope that tonight's show has offered tools and stimulated ideas for creating some positive visions for young people. Opportunity is the key to helping shape a vision of success rather than failure. I'm Agbara Bryson. Good night.